This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. Mountain Glass is holding their January sale, which includes borosilicate Golden Gate tubing at 20% off. Just put in the term Golden Gate at checkout. And they also are holding their soft glass COE 104 sale on a Fetre or a Moretti rod at 30% off. Just put in the word Fetre, that's E-F-F-E-T-R-E at checkout. For any other questions or comments, just go to mountainglass.com. That is mountainglass.com. And this show is also brought to you by Green Flash Glass. And if you are a wholesaler, retail store, get a hold of them through their website at greenflashglass.com. Give them a phone call and place your order. That is greenflashglass.com. And all sales are always free shipping that are $1,000 or more. And now on with the show. 3, 2, 1. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 71. This is J.Michael, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am super excited to be here as we are going to be sharing a little glass knowledge with my boy Shane Penn. Today we are going to be discussing cold working, and that includes all kind of fun stuff from grinding and cutting and sandblasting to elctro-forming and even finishing your work. So hope you guys enjoy this segment as we will continue to bring in the glass knowledge every other Wednesday. And coming up this Friday, I have a new segment I'll be starting, which is going to be our Wednesday, or our weekly Friday Q&A segment, where I have scoured the internet, including Facebook pages, groups, etc., looking for issues and trials and tribulations of those out there, whether you're new in this industry as a glass artist in general or are an experienced glass artist, and are still having some issues. And we're going to be covering everything from ventilation to setup in your studio to color choices, all kind of fun stuff, sales, marketing, all that shit, any kind of questions you guys have. And that being said, if you do have any questions, you can feel free to please leave me a question at info@wiseguyradio.com. That's WYZGUY radio.com. And I will definitely give you full credit for your question and a shout out. And if you have any other thing like an Instagram page you want to put out there for it as well, I will definitely put that out there to help promote you for coming on and helping the show with a question. So that will be coming up this Friday. And also, if you guys have not yet followed our Instagram page, which is somewhat new, our Instagram page is Wise Guy Radio, and that is Wise Guy and then _ radio. It's at WYZGUY_radio. And I will be posting up info here and there, exclusive content and giveaways, along with daily, little affirmations and fun little things out there to help motivate all of us out there in the world of glass and business and what have you. Also, don't forget to download, if you have not yet, or whatever, not really download, but I guess just go and click on the link for the Dropbox folder that I have created for you all. There is a crap ton of PDF downloads, including inventory sheets, forms for your studio, organizational files, and also that little waiver form that I have in there as well, which will just kind of cover your ass just a little bit when you go out there and ship all your functional work out there across country or around the world, what have you. And other than that, I just want to do some quick little housekeeping too before I forget here. Mountain Glass has their Get It Quick sale going on right now, running from January 6th and going until Friday, January 8th. Right now, they're offering 20% off Gilson opals. I don't know if it's Gilson or Gilson. I don't know. I haven't actually heard the term ever used, even though I used the product. But either way, it starts off with a G. Gilson opals, just use the code GLOPAL, that's GLOPAL at checkout, and you'll receive 20% off. And then for all you soft glass lovers out there, you can get double helix rods right now for 20% off. Just use the word D-Helix, D-H-E-L-I-X at checkout. and you will save 20% off that. Just go to mountainglass.com for all that fun stuff in new products I have out. And for all you ladies out there, I was talking with Haha Glass a couple months back when I was down in Cocoa Beach doing a little demo, and she had told me about a woman up in Asheville who was actually creating a pad for women who have boobs. And all you women have boobs out there, big or small, whatever. But I know a lot of y'all that deal with a lot of heat tend to also heat up your mammaries, and we do not want that. We do not know what kind of issues that could potentially have in the future with hurting your tissue there. I know myself personally, just having my face exposed to the torch, much less my body that's behind my clothing. I couldn't imagine carrying around a set of boobs that were getting heated up all day. So that being said, Mountain Glass is now carrying a padded set. I believe they're made of Kevlar that you can now wear inside your shirt to protect your fun bags or your whatever you want to call them. There's all kind of names I can come up with right now, and I'm going to stop before I do. So all you ladies out there, if you want to keep your bursticles in fine-tuned shape and from getting torched from your torch, I recommend getting these pads. And again, you can just go to mountainglass.com, and they have all that stuff there for you, and you guys can help take care of yourself. And once again, being a man here talking about boobs, I turn into a little 5-year-old kid and get all giddy, which is just ridiculous, but whatever. I can't help myself. I love all you ladies out there, especially my wife. So, all right, I'm going to get the hell out of here. You guys enjoyed this show. It's going to be a quick one with Shane, about a 30-minute segment we have. Again, talking about cold working. You can go follow Shane Penn. He is at Glass Knowledge on Instagram. He also has his personal page, which is Infinite Alchemics. Alchemics, I guess is how he pronounces it. That's INFINITE. ALCHEMICS. I'm sure you're not writing that down because your hands are full of hot glass. And for those of you behind the torch right now, enjoy the torch. Happy melting. For those of you that are heading into the shop or already are done and are on your way home or what have you, hope you had a good day on the torch or going to have one. And if you're not a glass artist and you're just listening to this because you enjoy the show, thank you so much for listening and for the entertainment value and getting some insights into this crazy world of glass. So there you guys go. Again, don't forget, send me some questions, info@wiseguyradio.com. Go to wiseguyradio.com also and subscribe to our newsletter. And then, have fun. Love you guys. Have a wise evening. And we will see you guys on Friday for our first Q&A. Love y'all. Take it easy. Peace.
Now it's time to share some glass knowledge with your host, J.Michael, and the creator of @Glass Knowledge on Instagram, Shane Penn.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back with our Glass Knowledge segment with Shane Penn from Glass Knowledge. What's up, dude?
Not much. As as a good friend used to say, what's up? Hard dicks and airplanes, as always.
Interesting.
Yep.
So today we're going to get into talking about cold work, and there's all kind of areas of cold working, and including in the furnace areas and marbles and all kind of fun stuff. So we're going to cover the gamut of all of it.
Honestly, as a cold work artist myself, I guess I'd consider myself a cold work artist. This is my forte. I love this kind of work. And for those out there listening, cold work really refers to anything that is done to the glass after it has been blown and kilned and cooled. So we're talking about cuts, faceting, anything on the outside that's going to be added, such as elctro-forming, plating, or anything in between. Any sort of work on the outside. It could be, I guess, the fine line between mixed media and cold working is a very thin one, where adding too much stuff like wire work on the outside, I don't know if I would consider that cold working or not, but I think that's when you're starting to approach in mixed media. So it's really anytime you're changing the glass with a tool after the heat without using heat.
Yes, I agree. Also, cold working can be done as well as finishing a product, not necessarily changing a shape or a look, but like in soft glass, for instance, when you needed to grind down your punny spots, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So cold work can be finishing touches as well, which honestly, certain kind of polishing would also be considered cold work too.
Yeah, especially when you get into faceting and stuff, because it's definitely the facet process is very in depth and time consuming. And I have much respect for anybody that facets. Even going back, we talk about jewelry and the diamond. alone. Which is kind of crazy that the diamond, out of all the rare minerals and things on Earth, is the mineral to go to. But the whole idea of being able to get this perfect angular cut around a piece of glass to have this refraction and reflections and fragmentation of light and color, and I mean it's amazing. When you get into it.
Oh, absolutely. As fascinating, as you could say. But the idea is that what I've understood is that it's easy to be a bad faceter, and the idea that you need to get those. A good faceting has the angles are perfect. They're the same length. It allows for really cool refraction, and there are these different like technical cuts that you're supposed to make, and that faceters like make with gems and things like that. And realistically, like you mentioned diamonds, the only reason diamonds are even a thing are due to really good marketing by De Beers and really good like keeping back the market of flooding them with diamonds from De Beers too. I think it's like when they say like 3/4 of all the diamonds ever discovered are just in warehouses in boxes kind of thing, just not literally just being held off the market just to keep the rarity up.
Yeah.
But,
interesting.
Faceting is one of the many things. The other one that goes along with faceting, I think we see a lot of, and most people are familiar with, is one thing that you actually do is a little bit as well, sandblasting. Mm-hmm. Sandblasting is considered a cold working technique too, because you're adding a texture or a design after the glass has been blown too. And I think that is where most people are going to be familiar with cold working, is the whole sandblasting scene. And sandblasting goes all the way back to early 1900s, even earlier than that, with like production of glasswork and things like that. As long as there's been like any sort of air pressure, the idea of blasting small grit at a substance to allow for a pattern to form has been around.
Yeah, and it's what I like about that whole idea is still to where our industry has taken old school, old world technology, concept, patterns, designs, techniques, and now incorporating it into pipes. And you get into the Grawl technique. Mickelson is famous for his old Grawl technique that he did. And the Grawl technique basically, conceptually, is like the old school crayon drawings where you would put a bunch of colored crayons on a paper first and then cover the entire thing in black and then take a toothpick or something that you can scratch through and create, your drawing by removing the black, and you actually reveal the colored crayons underneath it.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with that. I've done that before
right?
as well. Like, I played with that with kids. Like, I've actually,
exactly.
Like, they sell those out in the market where it's like a colored thing with black that you scratch off. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's the same idea with Grawl as you do layers of color or pattern. You can do some cool patterns. There's a bunch of guys out there that are just that are known for their Grawl work. Slop, Air was Hit. What's the hell's his name?
Hitman Glass?
No, it's Ryan Fitt.
Oh, Ryan Fitt and Halliday Inn. Halliday Inn is he does all of the like layering work for all the glass, and from what I understand, and then Ryan Fitt does all the free masking and all the elctro-forming and sandblasting. Yeah. Which, any sandblasters out there who want to like work with me on some elctro-forming, get at me.
Hell yeah. But then too, like that it's an amazing technique, and slop cups, the whole 9 yards. Like he's doing some amazing geometric patterns in Grawl technique now. It's like it looks like the shit's jumping off his glass, and these crazy Kubert style patterns. It's amazing, But then you get into a very traditional type of cold working, which is the glass cutting and using a glass wheel to cut into the glass, and you're carving, which dates back centuries back into Russia and over in Poland and over in Asia, and that's come over here. I mean, even like Central and South America and in Spain. The company I work for at Disney, the Rebus Brothers, we actually started off as a company of the Rebus Brothers were glass cutters. And they met Walt at the World Fair up in New York, and that's there as glass carvers and glass cutters, and they made a relationship through that process of Walt wanting to show other techniques and the world of art and imagination through glass, which is kind of cool. So the tradition is very, very still there, but it's also one of those techniques that's not as popular anymore because of laser engraving and the production sandblasting that's going on. So it's kind of one of those fun things. And if you ever want anybody goes to any of the Disney parks, you'll see the engravers there. They're kind of rare to see anymore. There used to be a guy in the mall you'd always see. You can have him engrave your name on a glass, kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But using like a Dremel tool basically. But to see the old tradition of using a wheel to cut glass is fascinating, especially because they have to look through the glass and they're doing everything backwards. Kind of idea. It's interesting.
So you brought up a different point too, that there is multiple types of carving in glass, not just sandblasting. Sandblasting is using fine gritted sand at high velocities in order to break off tiny bits of glass from the material to leave basically a tiny divot in the glass that is hard to see individually, but creates a pattern when versus the clear. It makes the glass opaque. Now, there are other type of carving, like you mentioned with the Dremel tool, where artists like Trevi Metal and I think Rye Glass even are using like different Dremel tools to slowly just carve away at the glass to reveal like beautiful design work too. And honestly, like some of the cold work, in my opinion, is I think the multiple media aspect is just that is where some of the most beautiful pieces really come out of. And like you said with glass cutting too, one of the big things with glass cutting is I'm pretty sure you have to use a diamond,
Wheel,
diamond, like right, diamond edged whatever you're using to cut, either diamond drill bit or a diamond saw blade. But you also need to incorporate water. There are special like tools and like conditions in order to cut glass without shocking it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the glass gets too hot from the friction of the process of cutting. Yeah, the guys at Disney, we use a ceramic wheel that's got a diamond coatings on there, but they also use just a ceramic wheel itself to do certain edges and round shapes and what have you into the glass. But then you get into the faceting as well on a lap wheel, which is a flat wheel, or you have a band, like a band saw or like a belt, kind of concept. You get into the old days of like out of Ireland and those guys over in Germany and Sweden that really were into the main, those were like a lot of the origins of crystal cut, that was done back in the day. The Swarovski crystals and whatever, and the companies like that are really big into faceting, and faceting multiple sections of glass to then put those together to then create a horse or an elephant or whatever. Like my grandma's she has, before she passed away, she probably had like 50 little Swarovski crystal animals that they got out of Germany, like just amazing stuff. But at the same time, again, because it's such an old tradition, a lot of these companies are going out of business. Waterford, for instance, they're one of the companies that kind of went by the wayside. They've been reborn and revamped by some people coming in and buying the company. You get into, the Swarovski is probably the most well-known because of the variations of prices that they have, because everybody can afford their work in a sense. But yeah, it's fascinating, getting into it. The whole idea too with the sandblasting, you also have sand carving, which is the same concept of sandblasting, but with the sand carving, you're using more masking and actually layers of masking, and you actually cut deep into the glass. So there was a guy that I worked with at the Renaissance Festival that would take 6 to 8 foot, like they were probably, I would say probably 2 foot thick by 6 foot tall sheets of glass, or just chunks of glass.
2 foot thick?
Yeah, dude, they were crazy. And he was showing me videos of the stuff, and he had a booth in a barn at his house, and he would have this big ass, like a water pressure, water, for doing your driveways, whatever, that would blow sand out of it. And he would cut like 6 to 8 inches deep into the glass, and do these amazing mermaids that were like had bubbles floating around them. But by removing certain layers of masking, you're able to build out. Basically, you got to work backwards when you do it.
You start the deepest and you work shallower,
right? Exactly.
By removing masking. It's very similar to think like how what's it called? Like spray painting does. Like people do spray painting layers for like anything on there. Like you have to have multiple layers, and as you pull it away, you add the different color.
Right. Exactly.
It's also knowing your depth of glass too. For those artists that layer, like they need. It's very hard to layer glass in perfect millimeters. So to have each layer 1 millimeter thick, so that that you have to go a certain thickness deep to order to reveal the next color.
Yeah, absolutely. And the glass he was using was soft glass. It wasn't Boro. Just kind of a clarification there, because it's a lot easier to get through.
I was gonna say, is soft glass easier to is it easier to burn through than Boro?
Yeah, and the reason I know that is because back when I was first getting into doing sandblasting, I got the idea to go and get the acid etching stuff you can buy at like Michael's or with the craft stores, thinking I could actually use etching cream to make patterns on my glass. And the Boro is actually too hard. It won't get into the actual glass itself. Where your soft glass is more porous, and it can actually get into the nooks and crannies of the glass itself. And we did some experimentation with it. And it just I couldn't do any kind of acid cuts at all on Boro.
Interesting. The most I've seen are saw cuts, like very in depth, like 1, 2, 3, 4 saw cuts, or for people doing doing cuts and then polishing for 90-degree angles as well. where they'll cut a 90-degree angle to something, or someone's doing like gears, like formed gears, and they have it exactly at 90-degree angles as well. And that will be because they've cut it and then flame polished it afterwards.
Some of the fun things too on that note of the grinding and stuff that I've seen guys do are doing like geodes and what have you, and doing these multiple layers of glass and then cutting like sheet segments out of it. So you have like this, it looks like a natural geode, but it's actually made of glass. And I can't think of who it was off the top of my head, but I saw some work years ago where he actually made like a geode, but just like the face of the rock that he created was cut so you can see into it, and then like on the side of it he had this big kind of a chameleon gecko looking thing sitting on it.
Oh, that's cool.
And just really fascinating, so the whole thing, the outside last layer of color is like this Amazon bronzy kind of color, and then the inside is just beautiful. Yeah, just gorgeous, and you can't see it unless you remove that layer.
I can't think of who the artist is, and I know that I'm going to kick myself in the butt for this, but he, I remember he had a few where it was like they're the true inside-out pieces, and they're like these beautiful like statues, and they were all black on the outside, and then the final product was like these beautiful tubes. He has one that they just sawed it perfectly in half and opened it up, and on the inside you just see this beautiful fully worked line work on the inside of this piece. And like that was like some of the coolest cold work like conceptual idea I've seen in a while. It's like this real inside out where they really just took that nice saw and just made a clean cut all the way down the middle. It's not functional anymore. It's now like literally only artistic. But man, talk about like cool concepts.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And I know there's an artist out there right now who's doing geodes, like where they do that exact concept, where they do like a big block, cut it in half, and then they put each piece on one other. So I mean, is that what you mean by that's a growl technique, right? That's the layering of multi-layers and then just cut in half.
No, the growl technique is more of a like you're saying with the pattern of the piece that was cut in half, where you're just it's all black, and then you have because then you blast through the black to reveal. The slop cups are very, the idea. Ryan Fitz the same way. His work, like those cone-shaped rigs he was doing recently that had like the lightning kind of going down the side of it.
Yeah, the Kuzels. That's their whole concept.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the Kuzels. I love it, dude. Such an original name too, and style. It's such a gnarly thing.
The Kuzel. I feel like the Kuzel came from something like that's an old design of some sort. But I honestly like Halliday and Ryan Fitter are easily two of my favorite artists together. Like they're one of the best combos for artists working together by far.
Yeah, I agree.
And I have I have to offer a little bit of jealousy and a little hate because he just does everything. Like there's not a single design out there that he hasn't done, which makes it really hard for anyone to do anything and not be called a copycat.
We'll save that for another day.
Yeah.
I don't know. We gotta go all over the place with this whole idea, like we said, before we started this whole umbrella topic, because of all the different areas of cold working underneath it. Like yourself, like with the elctro-forming ideas, like what do you find in work that you see or that you've used or actually created yourself that kind of sparks your interest more than anything?
Well, I think as an electroformer, and a lot of cold workers as well, I think the difference between our views and glassblowers' views are going to be the idea that we take a finished product, what is already considered a finished product, and add on more to it. So when I get a glass piece, I don't think of it as a finished glass piece. I think of it as a blank canvas. So it's all about what can we do extra, what can we do next, or what can be done next. And so personally, I think a lot of the stuff that I've been told, and like when I was trained to do electroforming, was honestly with cold work in general, is whatever you can think of is possible. And so you should just push that. And anything that has been tried, like just try again until it works. But the things that are really interesting to me out there is the combination of them, to be honest, is when people start working together. I would love to see more faceting out there. Like, why aren't there completely faceted down stems, or why isn't there a completely faceted like mouthpiece, But it's because no one's taken the time to fully incorporate it into a piece. Same with a lot of the carving and a lot of the other stuff is I'm really curious to see how that can change, if they can go deeper, if they can go all the way through. I know I can't remember, there's a marble guy who does glass carving, and man, does his stuff, it's just beautiful. He has like these almost hollow marbles where they've been hollowed out. They've just been blasted all the way through, and all that's left is this ring on the outside, more or less. And it's just, they're absolutely beautiful.
Almost like a true fab egg.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's the idea that he goes for, is like these beautiful eggs, and like just really just has these. It's the end results are just amazing, and I think that's with any cold working artist, that any glassblower like who has that opportunity, like it's a great way to spice up your work, and it's also a great way to make you think differently. Where as an electroformer, I look at a piece and go, how does this naturally flow into something I can attach? How can I better make this? How can I make this piece even more functional than it already is? Or how can I make this art look something? How can I bring out what's beautiful in it already? Or what can I hide that I think needs to be downplayed?
Yeah, it's good thinking. Yeah, what's fun too is when Sagan was at first introducing his moons, that he was doing, or still is. It's like that was one of those kind of, wow, that's a neat idea.
Exactly. Perfect example. Another example is I've like an encased opal. An encased opal is really beautiful in a marble, but an encased opal in a faceted marble is 10 times prettier in my opinion, because you have so many cool angles and it offers like this beautiful kaleidoscope effect, and the focal point just allows for beautiful amplification of it.
Yeah.
And that little difference makes your piece just, that just makes that so much more.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look at the center of one like that, and it looks like it has like 10 opals in it, but it's just
Absolutely.
all the reflections of it.
And I think that's one of the things that we don't think about with glass, is that glass is a translucent thing that refracts light, that allows for light to bend in it. And so like to be incorporating those concepts and ideas into final glasswork, that's a big thing. And then with any cold work, like where can making cuts in something end up having a really beautiful, appealing effect, or how can it add more function? Maybe it's a grip on a tube, or maybe you're making cuts to have like a slot for something else that can be put in,
Yeah, it's kind of going that same idea was like when the tree perks were first coming out, and they were all the perks were all slit cuts, which it is what it is. They're not always the most stable, but it was a kind of a thing. But and also to go back on your whole canvas idea, like when Slinger and D-Rec were coming out and they were doing their work together, or even just Slinger himself, and the idea was basically taking a color like a caramel or a butterscotch and reducing it so it made like this heavy metallic color on the outside of the surface, and then you put your stencils down, whether you're using a photoresist kind of a silk screen kind of idea or using vinyl, and then you blast it and you remove that sheen and the color to reveal again the grawl in a sense, even though it's not two layers of color, it's all one color, but because you remove the reduction, you basically have this pattern left behind that's either the original color in its natural state, or you have a pattern that's in the reduction. Depends on which negative or positive you want to go with your imaging.
Oh, absolutely. And also like the sandblasting will also allow for different things such as like a matte finish as well. Like if you just do a very simple clear or very small grit sandblasting over like pure just bright orange color, it's going to make it look matte. It's not going to add that milkiness to it, but you can have different finishes depending on how like you want your glass to finish too. Slinger is one of those guys that he pioneered the way with a lot of that sandblasting, but sandblasting's been around for ages. Sandblasting's been around for years. He's the first one to really bring it heavily into the market of like the pipe market. And I think that a lot of secondary like what's a cold working techniques, that's where they come from. It's outside sources of art or influence incorporated into your glass media.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like with Slinger and those cats up in Philly, they have that kind of that graffiti pop art kind of influence up there in that whole area. And you can see it in their work. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. But too, you get into. Oh man, I've had a brain fart.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't even remember where the hell I was going to go with it. I was going somewhere. It completely went out of left field. Oh well, fuck it.
Part of cold work that I feel is most reassuring is all the artists I've met in the cold working industry, all they want to do is work with other artists. And I mean, as an electroformer myself, that's what drives me, and that's what drives a lot of these people, is that their business is based on collaboration. You don't find as many artists doing both the cold work and the hot work because it's just there's not enough time in the day. And you really have to choose which one you want to be good at. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you have to by any means. Like, you can try and do both, and you can be really good at both, but it does increase your increase your prices. It increases how much effort and how much time you have to put into a piece. While an artist like myself or like, Ryan Fitt, where they don't have to blow glass as much, where they can really focus on the sandblasting and that design, allows for better uses of both people's time.
Yeah, I agree. And going back to the matte finish idea, Peter Moeller, I got one of his voodoo dolls and pendants, and he sandblasts a lot of his work, if not all of his work, because it really gives his voodoo dolls that cloth texture kind of finish to it. And
Absolutely.
when I got his piece, I didn't realize that he actually uses linseed oil to wipe down the glass with, and by doing that, it actually already puts oil into the glass, which not only gets all the dust and shit out of all the divots and the little small particles that are left behind from the sandblasting process, but it also helps to bring the glass back to its true color. A lot of times when you have glass that's been sandblasted, it gives it kind of the dull kind of finish in a fog kind of look, and when you add the oil to it, it brings back the sheen, but it still has a matte look to it. And I know back when I was first doing stuff, I was always concerned about fingerprints being left behind on clear pieces that I sandblasted, and by going ahead and using this linseed oil to wipe your pieces down with, it already gets rid of that issue.
Huh. I had no idea that. What a cool little tip.
Yeah, hell yeah! I had to share it because I had as long as I've been doing this, I had no idea, and I took his class this year, and that was one of his little tricks there. And I don't know if that's everybody out there does that, but yeah, linseed oil. And if you want to have it smell good, you can add a little lavender to it or some shit. Have like these scented potpourri fucking pendants people are wearing around town. Why the hell not? The glass is gonna hold that, actually hold those oils in it. So
No one's ever complained about opening a box and it smelling like lavender.
yeah, exactly. Maybe patchouli. A bunch of dirty hippies running around smelling like patchouli, which I actually love myself, but not everybody does.
Girlfriend loves patchouli. I can't stand it. Some around, I'm like, and it's not that I have anything against it. It's just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I like other things. But digressing, either way, we're getting off.
But yeah, so it's fun. So this is the whole idea. Is there's so much you can do with glass, and just getting into the cold work. We can do some segments down the road where we can get into specifics. With technique on doing certain facets and different types of cold working. But
One of the guys I featured in Glass Knowledge, by the way, I forgot to totally mention this, is Storms Jack, who is he's a non-functional artist as is, and anyone out there listening, as far as cold work goes, I bet he would be considered one of the best in the world. His pieces they take anywhere from like 8 to 10 months to make kind of thing, or like some crazy amount of time, because it's all cold work. All he does is take sheets of glass and sheets of Dichro and layers them using using math in order to get like natural flow in there, using the golden ratio.
Wow.
So yeah, if you Google his name, what's his name exactly? I'm trying to remember what his Jack Storms is the guy's name, but his eggs are amazing. So here, I'll even hold one up to the screen for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What's the guy's go by?
His Instagram is Storms Jack. Just his name backwards, but I saw a random video about him a little while ago, and his work is absolutely amazing. Other guys to look at, I guess I could say out there for people would be, let's see here. I don't know, Ryglass is awesome. Slinger, of course. Ryan Fizz, we mentioned before. Meshuggah does really cool carving work. Bada Bing Glass is one of my favorite cold workers because all their stuff looks like Tiffany glass. They're out of Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of on that same note with Facet Mama, and they're working with Nady and doing his infinite pendants, and they're taking the opals even and taking the coins and creating shapes by using cold work techniques.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man, he just posted a California shaped opal encasement today. It's pretty wild shit.
California shaped opal? Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just one more thing you can add to the process. Facet some opals and then put that opal inside a piece. It's freaking awesome.
Absolutely. And that's a good point too, that cold working could be incorporated into other aspects of the glass itself.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you guys need to go check out this Storms Jack guy. I'm looking at his page right now. Amazing work.
Amazing, right?
Yeah, just mind blown. This guy's got like 47,000 followers or something like that.
Yeah, check out his YouTube. Yeah, if you YouTube him too, he does a whole explanation of how, like, his whole process, and it's not one of those, like, you could watch his whole process from start to finish, and you still are just like, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Where, I watch a lot of things where I'm like, all right, I could do that. Like, if I had that time, I could do that, but no way. Just real beauty.
And I wonder too, I know there's, a lot of times, I shouldn't say a lot of times, but when you're faceting or doing grinding or any kind of technically on cold work, minus the sandblasting process, you have to use water. And, I always wonder the health issues potentially coming out of the process of grinding glass down.
Of grinding glass down, I think like anything else, particles in the air, so breathing. That's why most sandblasters wear really nice, fully faced, respirators, or like breathing masks and stuff.
Yep.
So, I mean, like everything in glass and in any of these major arts, be safe. Your life you may not think about it right now, but when you're 50 and you have a lung full of glass dust, you will be concerned, and it builds up over time. Remember, you're in it for the long run, not the short run.
Yeah, man, silicosis is a son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I want to experience. No.
I mean, just like with everything, like electroforming has its own things too. Like I'm around copper sulfate and sulfuric acid fumes all day, so I got to be very careful around that. Yeah. Am I the most careful about it? I could probably work on that, but I've seen glass blowers blow almost butt ass naked, and like I always kind of think like that. It can't be the safest thing either.
Yeah, I hear you. That's too funny. So on that note, man, anything else you want to drop on this knowledge bombs today?
I think as cold working goes, we briefly touched on a lot of the smaller topic, or a lot of the larger topics out there, not smaller topics, but a lot of the wide range of different cold work. And realistically, if you're listening out there and you're interested, go out, look for artists, contact them. If you want more e-forming information, we'll probably do a segment on that coming up, but feel free to contact me at Infinite Alchemics on Instagram too. More than happy to give out and talk about it to anyone too. So for those out there, like, yeah, start looking for people to work with, and if you want to try it yourself, it's a lot of work, but there's a ton to be done in cold working. So, yeah, a whole other world of glass to find out and figure out.
That's right. Just go online. You can just Google, electroforming or
sandblasting or
photoresist
or glass cutting.
Yeah,
but I will say one thing is a lot of these techniques take expensive equipment. Yep. You might need a couple $100 to be able to drop on a faceting machine or a good cutter, and sometimes even a couple grand. So I know some good sandblasting machines can cost like brand new $10,000, used $2.5. Yeah. So some of these techniques, they can be spendy to learn.
Yeah, hell yeah. Start small and keep going.
Amen.
So, all right, y'all. Don't forget to go to Glass Knowledge at Glass Knowledge on Instagram. You can follow Shane on there, and also go to his other Instagram page, which is Infinite Alchemics. Or Alchemics.
Alchemics, yep, like alchemy, but chemics. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And also go to wiseguyradio.com, subscribe to our newsletters. You guys can stay up to date on that with videos and pictures and other insights and links to all of our pages. And until next time, my dude, it's been fun dropping some knowledge bombs on all of our people out there.
Yeah, take care, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Take it easy. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.
You're listening